Welcome to English Story Hub, where extraordinary tales come alive through the power of storytelling. I'm Thomas, your host and guide on this literary journey. Each episode will explore captivating stories that transport you to new worlds, introduce you to unforgettable characters, and ignite your imagination. From classic literature to contemporary fiction, from heartwarming tales to thrilling adventures, we celebrate the art of storytelling in all its forms. Whether you're here to improve your English, discover new authors, or simply lose yourself in a good story, you've found your perfect destination. So settle in, let your imagination soar, and join me as we unlock the magic within every story.
The success of Colonel Sanders, from hardship to global empire. In the pantheon of American business legends, few stories are as remarkable as that of Harlan David Sanders. Today, his white-bearded face smiles down from countless KFC restaurants across the globe, but the man behind the iconic image lived a life marked by extraordinary perseverance, devastating setbacks, and ultimate triumph against all odds. Chapter 1. The Forging of Character, September 9, 1890, Henryville, Indiana. A small farming community where Harlan David Sanders entered the world into circumstances that would shape his character for decades to come. His father, Wilbert Sanders, was a hard-working farmer who tragically died when Harlan was just 6 years old, leaving behind a widow and 3 young children in desperate poverty. Margaret Sanders, Harlan's mother, was forced to work long hours in a tomato canning factory to keep food on the table. This meant young Harlan became the man of the house, responsible for caring for his younger brother Clarence and sister Catherine. By age 7, he was cooking meals for his family, learning the fundamentals of food preparation out of sheer necessity. He mastered the art of making bread, vegetables, and meat dishes, developing an intuitive understanding of flavors and cooking techniques that would prove invaluable decades later. When Margaret remarried, Harlan's relationship with his stepfather was turbulent. The household tensions became unbearable, and at the tender age of 13, young Sanders left home to work on a nearby farm. This early independence taught him self-reliance, but it also marked the beginning of a restless period that would see him change careers more than a dozen times before finding his calling. Chapter 2. The Wandering Years. The early 1900s found Sanders drifting through an astonishing variety of occupations. He worked as a streetcar conductor in New Albany, Indiana. He served as a private in the U.S. Army, stationed in Cuba during the Spanish-American War, though he was honorably discharged after just 4 months. He returned to work for the railroad as a locomotive fireman, shoveling coal into steam engines across the Midwest. But Sanders was ambitious and restless. He studied law by correspondence, and briefly practiced in Justiceville, Arkansas. He sold insurance. He operated a ferry boat. He even tried his hand at selling Michelin tires. Each venture seemed promising at first, but none provided the stability or success he desperately sought. In 1906, he married Josephine King, and their union would eventually produce 3 children, Margaret, Harlan Jr., and Mildred. Despite his growing family responsibilities, Sanders continued to struggle financially. He tried running a lamp manufacturing company, but it failed when a competitor's superior product drove him out of business. The Great Depression hit the Sanders family particularly hard, as it did millions of Americans. By his 40th birthday, Sanders had little to show for decades of hard work except a string of failed ventures and mounting bills. Chapter 3. The Birth of a Legend, 1930, North Corbin, Kentucky. At age 40, most men might have resigned themselves to a life of modest expectations, but Harlan Sanders was about to stumble upon his destiny. He opened a service station on U.S. Route 25, a major north-south highway that carried travelers between Detroit and Florida. The location was perfect for catching hungry motorists in need of fuel and food. Initially, Sanders served simple meals to travelers from his own family dining table in the living quarters attached to the station. His childhood experience cooking for his siblings proved invaluable as he prepared country ham steak and his mother's biscuit recipe for weary travelers. But it was his fried chicken that began attracting attention. Sanders had developed his own technique, seasoning the chicken with a secret blend of 11 herbs and spices before frying it in a heavy iron skillet. Word of Sanders's exceptional fried chicken spread quickly among travelers. By 1937, his reputation had grown so significantly that Kentucky Governor Ruby LaFoon commissioned him as a Kentucky colonel in recognition of his contributions to the state's cuisine. The honorary title was more than ceremonial recognition. It became the foundation of his future brand identity. Sanders continued perfecting his recipe and cooking methods. The traditional frying process took 35 minutes, far too long for hungry travelers in a hurry. When pressure cookers became commercially available, Sanders experimented with pressure frying, reducing cooking time to just 8 minutes while maintaining the chicken's flavor and moisture. This innovation would become crucial to his future success, allowing restaurants to serve his chicken quickly without sacrificing quality. Chapter 4. Rejection and Persistence, 1952. Sanders was 62 years old, an age when most Americans were contemplating retirement. Instead, he faced a crisis that would have broken a lesser man. The new Interstate 75 highway bypassed his restaurant, virtually eliminating the steady stream of customers that had sustained his business for over 2 decades. Traffic to Sanders Cafe dwindled to nearly nothing, forcing him to sell the restaurant at a devastating loss. Facing financial ruin, Sanders received his first Social Security check for $105. For many men his age, this would have been a signal to accept a modest retirement. But Sanders looked at that check and saw not security, but an opportunity. He decided to franchise his chicken recipe, believing that restaurant owners would pay him a royalty for the right to use his secret formula and cooking methods. What followed was a legendary test of human endurance and determination. Sanders loaded his car with a portable pressure cooker, his secret spice blend, and samples of his fried chicken. He drove from restaurant to restaurant across the country, pitching his concept to skeptical owners. He offered to cook his chicken for free, asking only that they pay him a nickel for every piece they sold if they liked it. The rejections came in waves. Restaurant after restaurant turned him down. They said his chicken took too long to cook. They questioned whether an elderly man with a white beard could understand modern food service. They doubted that customers would pay premium prices for fried chicken. Sanders faced over 1,000 rejections, sleeping in his car many nights to save money for gas and ingredients. But Sanders refused to quit. His unwavering belief in his product sustained him through months of rejection and disappointment. Finally, at a restaurant in Salt Lake City, Utah, an owner agreed to try Sanders' chicken. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Customers loved it so much that sales increased dramatically within days. This first success gave Sanders the proof he needed that his concept could work. Chapter 5. The Empire Rises. News of Sanders' success in Salt Lake City spread throughout the restaurant industry. By 1952, he had signed up enough restaurants to establish the first official Kentucky Fried Chicken franchise. The business model was revolutionary for its time. Sanders provided the secret recipe, pressure cooking equipment, and training, while restaurant owners paid him a royalty on every piece of chicken sold. The Kentucky Fried Chicken brand grew explosively throughout the 1950s and 60s. Sanders' distinctive white suit, black string tie, and goatee became iconic symbols of quality and tradition. He traveled tirelessly, visiting franchises to ensure they maintained his exacting standards. His perfectionist approach meant that any restaurant serving substandard chicken would lose their franchise rights immediately. In 1964, at age 74, Sanders made the difficult decision to sell his company to a group of investors led by Jack Massey and John Y. Brown Jr. for $2 million. The sale provided him with financial security, but he retained creative control over the recipe and remained the company's public face and quality ambassador. Under new ownership, Kentucky Fried Chicken expanded rapidly across America and internationally. The company went public in 1966, and by 1971, there were more than 3,000 KFC restaurants worldwide. The secret recipe that Sanders had perfected in his small Kentucky restaurant was now being served on every continent except Antarctica. Sanders continued working well into his 80s, traveling over 250,000 miles annually to visit KFC restaurants and maintain quality standards. His dedication to excellence never wavered, and he frequently criticized franchisees who he felt were compromising his recipe or cooking methods. Even in his final years, he remained passionate about protecting the brand he had built from nothing. The legacy of Colonel Sanders. When Harlan Sanders passed away in December 1980, he left behind more than a successful business empire. His story became a powerful testament to the American dream and the transformative power of persistence. From his humble beginnings, cooking for his siblings in a poverty-stricken household, to building one of the world's most recognizable brands, Sanders proved that success can come at any stage of life. Today, KFC operates more than 27,000 restaurants in over 140 countries and territories worldwide. The company serves approximately 12 million customers daily, generating billions in revenue annually. Every piece of chicken served still follows the basic recipe and cooking principles that Sanders developed in his small Kentucky restaurant nearly a century ago. The Colonel's journey continues to inspire entrepreneurs and dreamers all around the world. His choice to begin again at the age of 62, his determination despite more than 1,000 rejections, and his devotion to quality teach us timeless lessons about resilience and belief. Colonel Sanders showed us that age is never a barrier to success, that failure can become a stepping stone to victory, and that one person's vision, carried with persistence, can truly change the world. In today's world of quick success stories, his life is a reminder that real achievement often requires years of preparation, many disappointments, and the courage to rise again when it would be easier to quit. His legacy is not only in the countless meals enjoyed across the globe, but also in the powerful truth that persistence can turn impossible dreams into reality. The boy who once cooked out of necessity grew into the man who fed the world. That is the remarkable story of Colonel Harlan Sanders. Thank you for being with us today. I'm Thomas, your host and narrator.